this episode of Alien Agenda, Colonel G explores ancient Sumerian and Indian texts that suggest extraterrestrial involvement in early human civilization. While often considered myth, the existence of these texts raises questions about a possible alien influence in humanity's distant past. Let's learn more today. Here's Colonel Gene.
This is Colonel Gene on Alien Agenda with a new episode for you to listen to. Sumerians and Babylonians lived in an area that is today called Iraq, and they claimed that a race of beings called the Anunnaki came to Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago when the Earth was inhabited by huge and ferocious animals, as well as the distant ancestors of modern humans. The Anunnaki lived on a planet called Nibiru that every 3,600 years supposedly comes close to the Earth. On one of these passes about 440,000 years ago, the Anunnaki landed on planet Earth. The Sumerians claimed these beings were responsible for the development of modern humans by combining the DNA of ancient ancestors with the DNA of the Anunnaki. They also claim they provided knowledge to the humanoids they created. If this is true, that things like the calendar, plow, irrigation systems, and the first known writings were traced to the Sumerians, the question is, where did the Sumerians get this information? Although much of the story about the Anunnaki is thought to be a mythology, the fact remains that in 1849, the British discovered 14 clay tablets that dated back to the 24th century BC. These tablets tell a detailed story about the distant past and the Anunnaki. The first two of these 14 tablets talk about a supreme being and a 6-day creation that is very similar to what we have in Genesis in the Bible. On some of the other tablets, they claim that over 440,000 years ago, the Anunnaki came to Earth when their atmosphere at home planet was in danger. They were seeking gold that was used to deal with the problems of their atmosphere, and gold was in short supply on Namibia, their home planet. They began mining gold on Earth. The word Anunnaki means those who from heaven came to Earth. To help with the mining of the gold, the Anunnakis created mining settlements in what is now the Persian area of our world. They brought slaves with them to help with the mining but these slaves eventually rebelled, and the Anunnaki destroyed them. They decided that they would create new workers, Homo sapiens, by combining the DNA of our ancestors, Homo erectus, with the Anunnaki DNA. At first, this breed was sterile, but in order to create sufficient workers, the Anunnaki later altered the DNA so that they could procreate. The problem, however, was that they overpopulated the cities of the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki drove the slaves out of their cities. The clay tablets claim some of the Anunnakis bred with the humans and created giants. The leadership did not like this, and on one pass of Namibia, our sun was impacted and caused the Earth to heat. This resulted in the polar caps melting and an extended period of rain that flooded the Earth and killed almost all humans and animals. The tablets called this flood the Deluge and claimed the Anunnakis had boats built to save some of the animals and humans. This sounds an awful lot like the story about the Great Flood in the Bible. But remember, this description is on ancient Sumerian tablets that predate our Bible. The language used on these tablets is called cuneiform, and they use clay to record these messages. Some of the clay tablets were recycled by simply wetting them and wiping them clean, while others were fired to make them permanent, similar to the 14 tablets that the British found in 1849. Tablets claim the Anunnaki established a ruling class on Earth to control the population when they departed Earth. Are these stories true? There is no doubt the 14 clay tablets exist and tell these fantastic tales, some of which are very similar to what we hear in our Bible. Now we turn to another part of the world, ancient India, to look at some other unexplained evidence that we may not be alone. First, we look at a temple built in Cipher, India. What is notable about this ancient structure is that a powerful earthquake in the 11th century did not damage this structure. It turns out that this temple was built with a type of construction called originated architecture. It uses a paste rather than mortar, and this paste is 20 times stronger than mortar. This paste was described in a 4,500-year-old Indian text, and in addition, the structure had two 80-foot shafts that were designed to help resist the earthquake damage. Yet another unexplained ancient Indian culture is a text that comes from Susaya, Sumatra. This remarkable document identifies over 11,000 illnesses and provides many treatments. It also contains complex surgical procedures that are hard to understand given the thousands of years ago that this document was written. This text contains the oldest known evidence of human medicine. The question is, where did this knowledge come from? Although some of the aspects of the Sumerians and the stories that it tells are thought to be mythology, the 14 Sumerian tablets do exist and tell the story of the Anunnaki. And the ancient Indian book does exist and has information about human medicine that is astounding. Could it be that the source of some of these stories and the fantastic knowledge that our ancestors possessed came from intelligent beings beyond planet Earth? I hope you enjoyed this episode of Alien Agenda, and I ask you to tell your friends about our journey. This is Colonel Gene signing off.
Gene P. Abel is an inspiring powerhouse of innovation and storytelling. A distinguished retired Army colonel, he has helped shape great advancements in nuclear security, financial systems, and education. Today, he fuels his passion for creativity as a celebrated author of thrilling speculative fiction and thought-provoking historical tale. Dive into Gene's extraordinary literary universe on his website, where science fiction meets history in unforgettable adventures. Explore standout titles like What If Anything Is Out There?, The Inn of Destiny, and Our World Without Hitler. Visit GenePAbelBooks.com and be inspired.